just open any web page. The default web page is Google's homepage or whatever. I'm going to be opening the developer console. I start by right-clicking anywhere on the page and click Inspect. There are some keywords for it. On Mac, it's Command-Option-I. On Windows, it's Control-Shift-I to open the developer console. And it's something like this. Now, I expect you to follow me as I'm live coding. So make sure you're comfortable and try to follow. If you have any questions, if you cannot, you didn't understand something or you need help with something, if something doesn't work for you as well as it does for me, raise your hand and one of my friends will come over and help you out. Raise your hands if you did get the developer console, if you could see the developer console. Okay, only a couple of people. We're going to be helping out the rest. I asked my friends to go around and see and open the developer console.
Raise your hands if you cannot open.
Yeah, raise your hands if you don't have any developer console at all to open. It's Control-Shift-I or Command-Alt-I if you're on the Mac. I don't know what the shortcut is on Linux. It should be Control-Shift-I. But this is what you should be seeing on any web page. Did everybody get it? Raise your hands if you don't have the developer console. And it's totally fine. Don't be shy.
Background is white for most people.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Probably it's white for you. That's fine. White hurts my eyes, so that's why it's black for me. Don't worry about that. But this is, you're going to see something like this. Before I move on, how many people did program before in any language? Doesn't have to be JavaScript. Okay, a lot. Great. Raise your hands if you have no programming experience at all. Okay, you're lying. He's like the senior architect doing this for 20 years. Yeah. All right, so we have a very diverse set of backgrounds here, which is great, which means the people with the higher programming knowledge can help out the other ones who are totally new. And this course is designed for the total beginners, so you're going to be hopefully feeling at home here. At any time, raise a hand, ask around your desk, and we're going to try to help you. But I'm going to start with from the very, very basics. So in the console, you have, this is the developer console. You currently have the Elements tab open. I will ask you to switch to the console. So it's the next tab. And it gives you something, a place where you can type stuff. So you can type numbers. You cannot really type letters. When you type letters, it freaks out and says reference error, something is not defined at anonymous11. That's a kind of, frightening sentence. It's very hard to understand. Unfortunately, this is a developer tool for professionals done by very, very good programmers, and they often don't understand what it means to be a junior developer. So they have these cryptic messages, but we're going to be talking about them in the future. So you can type anything here, and I'm going to start by typing a number plus another number, and even before you hit enter, you can see the answer there. It's 34 plus 23 is 57. So this can do calculations for you. You can do 3 minus 2 equals 1. Here's the problematic bit. Oh wait, did they fix it? No, I'm sure they didn't. Yeah. Wait, you see it here. So something 0.3, something else 0.7. It should give you a full number that ends with 0.4. But there are a couple of extra zeros and a 2 at the end. This is why people claim JavaScript cannot do numerical analysis, but this is pretty close if you round it up. So if it's close enough to do machine learning, I would say it's good enough. Okay, so you can do these things. But obviously numbers aren't the only thing that are in programming. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what programming is about, what programming tries to do. Programming tries to, maybe if I make it a little bit bigger, it's going to be easier for you to see on the TVs. Programming is all about mimicking real life. Okay? What we're trying to do as programmers is to model real life processes in code. Let's say we're going to be talking about Meetup, and we're going to be using Meetup as an example in-class examples. We're going to try to build a clone of Meetup, sort of. So what you do in meetup.com, you find different meetups to attend on different dates. You click attend, right? You have a list of attendees. You can see a lot of comments and stuff. These are real life things, right? What we do on the back end is we try to mimic this and make sure our users, our real users, can achieve what they want as a result of using our tools. So if you see a meetup page on the web, on meetup.com, you have a representation of that, a model of that, like model planes, model cars, a model of that in software. There is a concept of, we create a concept of a meetup. You are attending a meetup, right? We create, and you become an attendee. We create the concept of an attendee in our code. Some of the people are hosts for the meetup. There are entities or concepts of hosts in our software as well. And what you do as a person, as an attendee, you attend a meetup, right? That's the behavior you do on meetup.com. That's what we exactly do in software as well. You, as a person, your model attends the meetup, the model of the meetup. So what we're doing in real life, we're trying to mimic it in programming, right? So that's why it's actually very simple. The basics of programming, software engineering, is extremely simple. If you're good at identifying these different concepts and putting them on paper or in your mind, then you're going to be great software engineers. Because software is all about finding out these objects, we call them, and finding out the relationships of objects to each other and what they do with each other. So there's a person object. That person object attends a meetup object. Once you get this and you scale it up by 100, you're going to end up with a real application. And that's all we're going to do throughout the class. And hopefully we're going to end up like realistic, real-life applications that you can use. I'm going to be talking about the projects at the end, so please remind me if I forget about that. So how do we go on then? Now, my name is Arman. A lot of people call me Arman, right? That's my name, that's my label. Some of my friends call me different names. Some of them funny, and we fight about it. Yeah. Some of them, for example, call me A or Army. That's still referencing me, right? That's still me. That's still who I am. But there are different labels. You can call me Army. I'm going to look at you with blank eyes and say I'm against the military. So please use my full name. I sometimes say only my colleagues can call me Army, but that doesn't sit well with interns, so I decided not to say it. But these are all labels, right? People call each other via labels. This is a microphone. Who decided that this thing is a microphone? It's called the name microphone. We don't know, but we refer to it with that name. So this concept of referring to things is obviously also in programming because it's mimicking real life. So in code, what you get when you type 3 is a number, right? What is the label for that if we want to write it? It's 3, right? This would be the label for 3. If you see this, you know what I'm talking about. So I declare this label, and it's called a variable in programming for the ones who are very new to programming. This is called a variable. And this is an assignment. I assigned the value of 3 to that label 3. Now I said, from now on, everybody referring to the number 3 can actually just write 3 and it will work. You hit enter, you see the result. You can also do addition here. 3 plus 5.3 is 8.3. It works. You can have 6 equals 6, right? And now you can do 3 plus 6, and you end up at 9. So now we're not using the direct values, but we're using their labels. This is going to be really handy when we do more complex programming. I said these are variables. It's because they can change. You might be an evil person, and you can say 3 equals 5, okay? And then you can do 3 plus 6, and you're going to end up at 11. Because this is a variable, it can change. And it's kind of fine. We try not to do this at all. Now this is a little bit of a technical detail, there are 3 major ways of declaring a variable in JavaScript. This is the 4th one that we kind of never use. We start by typing var, okay? var 3 equals 4, something like this. And now when you type 3, you're going to get 4. The first one is var, it stands for variable, obviously. The other one is const, 3 equals 3, and you get 3 back. Now if you want to reassign it to 5, you won't be able to. And this time we have a much nicer error in human terms. It says assignment to constant variable, because const stands for constant. You cannot really change its meaning. This is very handy, right? This is the majority of the variable declarations will be in const. We don't really want people to mess with our variable declarations. But sometimes you have to use a variable that changes value, and that's when we're going to use let. You can say let 4 equals 4. You can still do 3 plus 4. It's going to be 7. But you can now reassign 4 to 6. And 3 plus 4 will end up at 9. Do I make sense?
Why does it say undefined?
Why does it say undefined? Because this is the console. It's trying to help me. It gives me the result of my expression. So when I type 3 plus 4, I get 9, which is the result of the expression. But when I say let 4 equals 4, that's not an expression. That's a declaration. I declare 4 as a variable, as a value. So there is no return value. There is no result of it. The result is undefined. That's, when there is nothing to say, we just say undefined. That is undefined. And this is the kind of the biggest error that you're going to get all the time in your lives. Something is undefined. Trying to access something of undefined. You're always going to get this undefined in your lives. Unfortunately, it's very common in JavaScript. Okay, so we can add these manually, that's great, but I also want to formalize things a little bit, and I'm going to introduce the concept of functions. Please, somebody raise your hands and tell me what a function is not from like programming, but like from real life. How do you know functions? What do they do from math, please?
A machine that you give them variable, and at the end you have a result based on whatever function do on the variable.
So it's a machine. You give it a variable and you expect a result from it.
Yeah.
It does something. Yeah, this is actually correct. Any other explanations? Strictly from math? Maybe. Doesn't have to be math. No one else? Please. It's an algorithm, yes. You don't have to use the mic.
Yeah, just an algorithm where you plug in a variable number at one end and then a different thing comes out the other end.
Yeah.
According to what you put in at the start.
Yeah. Great. So it's a piece of code that transforms the input to an output. Okay? And what we can do is we're going to create a function for add, for addition. We're going to give it two numbers. It's going to give us the total of those two numbers. Okay. Now, how we're going to do that is we start by typing function. Okay. And then type the name of the function, add. It will have two operands, operand 1, operand 2. We write them in parentheses. These are called the parameters or the arguments of the function. Okay. Then I'm going to hit curly brackets because I'm going to be typing the body of the function. Tell me what I need to type next. Raise your hands. Anybody? So I need to add these two numbers. Please. Return. Yes. What else? Operand 1 plus operand 2. Yeah. That's basically it. This is a function that returns the sum of the two numbers that you pass to it. Okay, now I can use it. I can say add in parentheses 3 and 4. And when I hit enter, I get 9 as a result. So I added 3 and 4 and got 9 because I had, in a much evil way, redeclared 4 to mean something else. Right? 4 is 6. I know it's a little bit confusing, but that's how variables work. That's why we use const all the time. I'm doing this to demonstrate that we use const all the time. However, if I use const right now, it won't work in the console because I'm redeclaring these variables all the time. I don't want to bug you with the details. I have to refresh if I have to use const. That's why I'm not using it for this lecture. But in the homeworks and going forward, you're going to be using const. Anyway, we have a function. We called it. We called the function by writing these parentheses around it. Add 3, comma is the second parameter. 4, and close the parentheses, and you get the result. Okay. This is actually pretty useful right now. We can add any number we want, and we are not concerned with that plus sign anymore. That became hidden to us. This is one of the most important topics in programming, abstraction. We use functions because we want to abstract away the algorithm that are in the functions. I don't have to know how addition is implemented. It might not be as simple as this. There might be very complicated cases. For example, I just showed you JavaScript cannot really subtract or add numbers, right? There are weird errors in those numbers. Maybe you want to have a specific function that will fix those errors, right? And you want to hide it away. Functions are the greatest way to do that. And we're going to be using functions all the time. There's a different way of defining functions, which is a little bit easier. And I'm going to be showing that right now. I do, let's say subtract. Okay. Subtract equals, I open the parentheses, op1, op2. I close parentheses. These are for the arguments. I do something called a fat arrow. I know this is very discriminatory. I hate the term fat arrow. I don't know why they called it fat arrow. There are no normal arrows in JavaScript. So they didn't really need to have a distinction there, but they call it a fat arrow. And then just write what you want to do. op1 plus op2. Sorry, it's a subtraction. So op1 minus op2. Okay? I define this function. And now you can do subtract 3 and 1, and you're going to get 2. Okay, this is another way of writing functions, which is a little bit shorter. If you compare the addition and subtraction. And this is what I really like about JavaScript. They try to really minimize the amount of code that you have to write to get something done. So we know that this is a function because of the fat arrow. You don't have to write function. We know we're going to return a value, so you don't have to type return. We know this is single line, so you don't have to type those curly brackets. Okay? It's why it's super, this is a single line operation. That's why we can shorten it as this very nice syntax that just lists the arguments and gives the body of the function as a return value. All right? How is it going so far? Are you able to catch up? Raise your hands if you're not able to follow. And again, it's totally fine. We have a lot of people here that are currently kind of bored. We have to give them a job to do. So raise your hands if you need any help. They're going to come over and help you out. Tell me if I'm going too slow. If you think this is too slow. Raise your hands. Okay. The people who haven't had any programming experience before, raise your hands if this is good enough. If you're able to follow. Okay, great. Perfect. Again, you don't have to feel free to stop me, ask me to repeat something, or ask a question, because this is for you to learn. All right, now let's move on to the sources tab. We were in the console. We're now going to sources. We're going to be creating a source file. We're going to be doing a new snippet. Okay? It's here this arrow, you will end up at snippets. So it's page, file system, overrides, content scripts, snippets. Click that, and we're going to create a new snippet. Let's call it test. I don't mind. This gives you a scratchpad, a real source file, JavaScript source file, and you can write anything here, and it's going to work. I think we can write 3 + 4. I'm not sure if I refreshed the page yet. And you can hit Command Enter, Control Enter, or click this Run Snippet, and it will run it, and you're going to see here the result of your operation. Okay? Did everybody follow me so far? To create a snippet, we're going to be using this from now on. All right, looks like everybody did. Okay, now I'm going to be talking about a concept called objects. Okay? What is an object in real life? Give me an example of an object. Raise your hands and give me an example of an object. Please. Oh no, you're asking for help. Okay. Yes, Rachel. No, you're also asking for help. Okay. Please. A car can be an object. Okay. Class, we need to talk. I'm asking a question. I would love to have an answer. That was a perfect answer here. I'm just saying because it's very straightforward. I asked, give me an example of a real-life object. And this wonderful person here told me a car is an object, which is a very valid answer. So I hope you're able to come up with multiple answers. Please raise your hands and give me another answer what a car, an object could be. A book can be an object. Perfect. A car, a book. I'm trying to have a memory game here. If I'm going to be able to remember all the names, please help me. Give me another name, another object. Raise your hands. Anybody, please? A laptop is an object. Great. We all have laptops, right? What else do we have? Yeah, over there. Shoes. Yes, we all have shoes. I hope we all have shoes. So great. We have what? Car, laptop, shoes, and books. And a person. Okay, this is a little bit cheating. This guy over here is attending all the classes, much like Jatin there. And the person object is an object that I'm going to be mimicking in code today. That's why that was kind of an insider joke. Okay. Objects. What can you do with a book?
Read it.
You can read it. Burn it. Yeah. We do it a lot in Eastern countries. Yeah. I'm from Turkey, by the way. And I don't... Anyway. This is recorded, streamed live, so... objects, cars. What can you do with a car?
Drive it, crash it.
You can crash it. Hopefully we don't crash it in the Christmas market. That's a terrible idea. Don't crash your car in the Christmas market. You can drive it. So that's an action that you can do with a car, right? What kind of properties does a car have?
Color.
It has a color.
Speed.
It has a speed, right?
Engine.
Engine. What? A brand. Perfect. These are great properties of a car, right? So that's how we define a car, right? You should be able to drive it. Hopefully not. The speed, in that case, should be over 0, right? If the speed is 0, you're not really driving anywhere. Although it still might be a car, you cannot drive it, right? Great. What else can you do with a car?
Sell it.
Sell it. Who would you sell it to?
Another driver. Another object.
You can sell it to another object, to another driver. Perfect. So you are a person driving a car. You do the driving action, right? The car doesn't drive itself, although some cars do nowadays. Some of them, most of them don't. Or maybe we're not that rich yet to buy those cars. Maybe that's why we're here. Hopefully we're going to be so rich at the end of this course, we're going to be able to afford Teslas that drive themselves. So we drive the car, right? The car is a drivable object. This is very important. Drivable. This is not the topic of this course, but if you're interested in programming, you can look up interfaces in programming. I'm not talking about user interfaces. I'm talking about programming interfaces, class interfaces. And you're going to see this able word there, drivable, attendable. A meetup doesn't attend on its own, right? It's attendable. People attend it. That is the characteristic of a meetup. It's attendable, which means people can attend it. People as an object can attend meetup, right?
As another object.
As another object. So you have the person object, you have the meetup object. A person object can attend a meetup object, right? And then what happens when you attend a meetup? You show up in the list of attendees, right? Meetup has a property, has a feature that is the list of attendees, right? You see it when you go to the meetup details page. This is basically what we're going to be talking about today. Objects, the person object, the meetup object, and their relationship, and the actions that you can do, and what happens as a result, okay? And this is the basics of programming, the fundamentals of programming. And again, if you get this right, it's pretty much over. You know programming. All the rest, everything that you're going to learn on top of this is semantics. How to make it work in that specific environment, with that specific language. Like if you're going to use databases, you don't have to use databases. You have to if you're building a real application. So you're going to learn how to store your data in a database. That's a part of programming, but that's not part of the idea of programming. The idea of programming is finding out these objects and figuring out the relationship between them. And you're going to be representing them in a database, of course, but that's a representation issue. You're going to be deploying it to a server, for sure. You're going to be building your code. There's going to be a production environment. There are so many things to learn in software engineering, but the core idea never changes. The core idea is pretty much the same. You have objects, they have relationships. You just try to make sure people can create those relationships, right? You try to make sure real humans like us can create meetups. Other humans like us can attend those meetups. Do I make any sense? Okay. So it doesn't sound crazy or stupid, right? Okay, thank you. Just checking. All right. Now, let's create our first object. How do we do that? We declare a variable, var Arman, that is me, equals, and now I'm going to create the object. For numbers, we just type the numbers. For objects, we start with a curly bracket. Okay, this is an object. If I run it, I get undefined. Why? Because this is just an assignment. There is no action here, right? But what I can do here in the console is I can type Arman, and I can get that object back. The curly brackets, in this case, denotes an object. By the way, can you hear me well? Okay, the audio is fine, right? Thanks. Now, how do you define me? What properties do I have? Sorry? I can have any properties. Can I fly? Can I have a speed over 50 kilometers per hour? I can have a name, yeah. Let's start. Thank you, I don't have hair, but other people do. A person is a hairable object, okay? And I don't have hair. A lot of people have hair. So name, Arman. So I type the name of the property, in this case it's name, and then I put a colon to say I'm declaring the name right now, and then I give it a piece of text. We call a piece of text a string, and it goes in quotes. Double or single quotes doesn't matter. I use single quotes because it's a little bit easier on the eyes. So I say Arman is an object that has a property name, okay? I hit Command Enter. When I type Arman here, you automatically see that it's an object with a name property. All right? Let me add another property. I'm going to add age. Every year, this is going up, and it gives me some shivers. I don't like it. This year, it's 35. But I put a comma after name, and I say age, colon, 35. Okay? I hit Command Enter. When I type Arman here, I see an object with a name and an age. Now I'm gonna make this a little bit easier. I'm going to type something like console, which is another object that's available to JavaScript, wherever JavaScript is running mostly, that has its own properties. You access those properties by using dot. There's a very nice property called log that helps us log something to the console. I'm just going to type Arman here. I do this because now when I hit Command Enter, I automatically get the object logged here. So again, I type Command Enter, I automatically see name Arman age 35. Okay? You have an error. Okay, can somebody help here? There's an emergency, there's an error. No, it's fine. Okay, much like the console, I as an object have properties, and those can be accessed by hitting the dot. So, whenever you hit dot, you have this short list that says age and name. So Arman.age gives you 35. Arman.name gives you my name. Okay? This is how you access the properties of an object. Does it make sense? Raise your hands if you have any questions. I have a couple of friends here available that will run around and help you out, okay? I want to make sure we get this part done. By the way, do you want to take a break? Raise your hands if you want to take a break. No breaks. The last time we did this, people freaked out so much, and I don't like it. I'm definitely going to give a break, but give me like 10 more minutes, and then we're going to have a break of 15 minutes, okay? Right now, let's make sure you are following me to this part. You have an object. Obviously, you don't have to use my name and my properties. Use your own. Type it and see the output.
So I have another
Yeah.
Why do we need constant log?
Because I was typing it here manually. Like after, if I don't have this, after I run this, I get undefined here, and I have to type Arman here to see the result. So this is doing it for me. So this is automatically doing it for me. Whenever I run this, I see the result there automatically. Because I'm going to be writing more code here, I don't want to type it every time. Please.
How do you code the name of the variable?
How do I what?
Not the name property, but the actual name of the variable, which in this case is the same, but
How do I access the name of the variable?
yeah.
I have to know it. I don't.
Oh,
There's no way to access it. I have to know it. So if you're talking about this,
yeah.
I have to know Arman to be able to interact with it.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going to be showing arrays in a little bit, and then that is where you don't have to know the name of the variable because they won't really have names. There's going to be a group of people, and we're going to be referring to them individually, much like we have here. Again, programming resembles real life so much. You are an array of students. I don't know your names individually, so what I can do is I can just point to you, and then you can say, okay, that's me, and that's how we can speak, right? I can say, okay, you are the first one, the second one, the third one, and I can only refer to you by your place in the array.
Okay, but like if I want to console log the name of
The first person,
yeah,
for example.
like the name of the variable, I have to know that.
Yeah.
If I get it from somewhere else or whatever,
Then you don't have to know it. We're going to be talking about that in a bit. Okay, raise your hands if you were not able to follow me so far. Don't be shy. You were not able to follow me? Okay, raise your hands if you were not able to follow me. Everybody did? Really? Are you sure? So everybody has this open in Chrome. I'm going to be sending around my teaching assistants to check your laptops. No. No, we're not going to do that, of course. But okay. Great, let's create another person. I'm going to be creating Mert as my best friend. I'm going to be doing the same thing. Arman and Mert, okay? And I can do console.log Mert, and it will, when I run it, it will give me Mert. I can do console.log Arman, Mert, and when I run it, I will get two objects with name and age, okay? What I can do here is I can type arman.age plus mert.age. I'm accessing the age of Arman and the age of Mert, and summing them up, and I get the sum automatically. So this is how you access properties of objects. All right. Now, we have properties for Mert and Arman. Can they interact with each other yet? No, right? That's very difficult. Currently, they don't have any behavior, any interactions. Okay. Let's say Arman should be able to greet Mert. All right? So, this is another rule of programming. The best way to design programs is to first think about them. Think about how it should look like. What will you type and what result should it give you? And then we actually go into coding. All right? So, for example, I want to be able to say Arman greets Mert. Okay? When I run this, I get an error. Uncode type error, arman.greet is not a function at something. Which makes sense. I didn't define that function yet. But I want the syntax to work. Arman.greet Mert. And what I want as a result, it should log to the console, hello Mert, I'm Arman. Okay? I should see this as a result. I will type this. I will see this as a result. And then I'm going to go and implement it. All right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a function here. So remember, I said objects can have properties and behavior. Behaviors are functions. I have a behavior of greeting people. I like greeting people. So you can ask me to greet multiple people. So what I'm going to do is I put another comma after age, and I type greet. Okay? Now this is a function. How do we define functions? By putting parentheses, right? And typing the name of a parameter. So I want to be able to greet people. So I said greet person. And obviously it's followed by a curly bracket. What am I going to type here? Anybody? Yeah, hello something, something, right? Okay. Let's put the
Hello person.
console log here. And then I'm going to say as a text, as a string, hello. Then I'm going to type the name of the person, right? How do I get the name of the person that I'm going to greet? Arman.name or person.name, because the first name that I'm going to write is the other person's name. I do person.name. That was the parameter that I'm getting. So from the point of Arman, it doesn't matter who you are greeting. You are just greeting any person. So I'm greeting you, you are a person. I'm greeting you, you are a person. And I just want to know your name. So I'm saying person.name. Give me person.name. Okay? Let's execute this. And let's put here Arman.greet Mert. Okay? Let's run this and I get hello Mert, which is awesome actually. I run it, I get hello Mert. I said Arman.greet Mert at the end. Does it make sense? Now, Arman is able to greet Mert, but there was one more requirement, right? I wanted to write my name. So I will add more stuff. It was like my name is, right? Now I also want to write my name. Let's run this again. Currently, the output that we get is hello Mert, my name is, when I do Arman.greet. What is the next thing? What am I missing here? Another name. Now, how do I access my own name? Sorry? This.name. Yeah, we have an experienced developer there. Why did we have to write this? Sorry? I'm talking about myself, yes. I'm saying this.
Which person?
This.name. Whoever is greeting. Okay? So this is a special keyword that you can use to point to yourself. Because you don't have to know, you know yourself, right? My name could be anything. I know who I am. I know how old I am. I don't have to refer to myself as Arman. Actually, that would be very weird if I would say, you know, Arman woke up at like 8 a.m. in the morning today. I say, I woke up at 8 a.m., right? We have a special word for that in English. That's I. In programming, it is this. That's why I say this.name. Do I make sense? You can say no, and I won't be offended. I won't take it personally. Because this is a very hard topic. This is an extremely hard topic in JavaScript to get right. There are multiple reasons for it. But if you Google JavaScript and this, although this is a very generic word normally, you're going to see millions of blog posts on how to get them right. So this points to the object that you're operating on. Okay, and we're currently operating on Arman.
So I have a question.
Yeah, please.
When you use this, you when you define it we call it, a function
Mm-hmm.
into when you already define the function in the object, you can use this to
Yeah.
refer to the object, right?
Yes.
But when you
Define a function outside, you cannot use this.
cannot use it,
You can, but we're not going to be talking about it. Of course, there are ways to do it.
but then you recall the function outside of the object. Also, you can use this.
Yeah. That's a special case. You say use this object as this. There's a special way of saying for every function, use this as a special object. But we're going to be going into that later. Okay. So the question was, you can only use this special keyword inside a function that's inside an object, right? We cannot use it for every single function. That is true. However, that's only part of the truth. We can use it in regular functions as well. Let me do it for you. Regular greet, okay, is a function that takes person as a parameter, that doesn't take anything, and that is an empty, there are no parameters, and it does console log this .name, okay? Let's define this. So regular greet, if you call this regular greet, you're going to get nothing. This name is empty. However, if you do regular greet.call Arman, wait, no, it should be the same. Oh, wait. Obviously, it doesn't work when it's an arrow function. Yeah. You declare regular greet, okay, and then you say regular greet.call, and then you get the name of that person. So it works in regular functions as well, this, but then you have to specify what the this argument is. This is a little bit advanced topic, and you don't have to remember this, so that's fine for now. For now, we have this, hello Mart, I greet Arman. This is the end for now. We're going to have a 15-minute break, and we're going to be back here in 15 minutes, exactly like a German. I'm going to start in 15 minutes. So take this time to eat, drink, ask questions, and let's meet in 15 minutes. Previously on JavaScript Crash Course, we were talking about objects and properties and actions, and Arman was able to greet Mart, right? That was our code so far. Let's run it again. I hit Command Enter. It says, hello Mart, my name is Arman. So Arman is able to greet Mart, right? So normally, if Mart is actually a decent human being, what do you expect? You expect Mart to greet Arman as well, right? So you expect Mart to greet Arman. Let's run it. And we're going to get an error. It's going to say Mart.greet is not a function. So Mart doesn't have a greet function. He doesn't greet people. He's like, no. No. But that's not nice. We're trying to make friends here, right? So Mart should have a greet function. Why doesn't Mart have a greet function?
It doesn't have a greet function. Because it doesn't.
Well, Mart doesn't have a greet function, right? Only Arman has a greet function. Does that make sense? I mean, if you look at the code, that's what it is. I'm asking in real life, does that make sense?
No.
What? What kind of a person are you, Mart? Well, what type of a person are you? There's a trick, a tricky word here, type, for the people who are a little bit more advanced in programming. Because in a little bit, we're going to be talking about types. So person is a type of object, right? Person should be a type of object. Currently, do we have any notion of a person here in the code? We don't. We have just generic objects. We have a generic object that we call Arman that has a name, an age, and a greet function. We have another generic object that's called Mert that has a name and an age. We are human, that's why we know that these are people, because they have age and name, whatever. We have an idea of what a person would look like. But the computer doesn't know what these are. The computer doesn't know these are people. The computer doesn't know and care if Mert has a greet function or not. The computer thinks Mert is a robot. That's why it says Mert.greet is not a function. That's coming from the compiler, the computer, the browser. Mert doesn't have such a function, but it should. Mert should have that greet function because Mert is a person, right? We know that. As a human being, we know Mert is a person. A person is a specific type of object that we created, that we imagined, that has a name, an age, and a greet function. These three characteristics make up a person. And we need a way to tell this to the browser so that in the future, Mert and anyone else that we're going to create will have all these three characteristics. Do I make sense? Do I? Okay. You don't have to say yes. Okay. The way I do it, introducing types, is with a special keyword. And unfortunately, in JavaScript, that keyword is called a class. In some other languages, it's called a type. In JavaScript, it's called a class. I'm going to introduce a class, a person class, to define these properties and these behaviors so that all the future instances or copies or instantiations of that person class has these properties, okay? Now let's keep the code here as a reference. I'm going to be defining a class, person. I start by typing class person. JavaScript is very literal. You can read whatever you type and it makes sense. And we again use curly brackets. We say class person and it should have a name, an age, and a greet function, right? So I will get to that part. Let me clear this and let me comment these lines out. You can delete them if you like. Don't worry about them. I will just comment them out by hitting command/. It should be Control/ on Windows. It will comment out and remove all the code without deleting them. So these pieces of code won't execute. We will be sharing everything I wrote today on our GitHub repo, so don't worry. We're not going to lose any code. You're also going to have the videos. I'm just commenting them out to have a fresh start, all right? I'm just keeping them for reference. I'm creating a new class and a new fresh start here. I'm going to say Arman equals new person. And a person is a class that we call, that we instantiate by those regular parentheses again. And then, let me clear the console. Let me run this. Class person, Arman equals new person. If you log Arman, right now you're going to see person. Okay? The console now types person. If let's say I comment in Mert, I run this code. Okay, I have an error. Identifier person has already been declared. This is an error that we're going to see sometimes when we're working in Chrome in the scratchpad. Normally that's not an issue. That's because I already created this class. It doesn't allow me to recreate that class until I hit refresh. So I'm going to be working around it as I worked around the variables. I'm going to say person equals class. This is pretty much the same thing. Okay, and I will be able to run this multiple times. But before I do it, I have to refresh. So I refresh the page. Now I can run it multiple times. and it's going to work. So I have Arman, a person. I have Mert, an object. So you see Mert is not a person. The browser, Chrome, knows that I'm a person, doesn't know Mert is a person. Let's get rid of this code again. Command slash or control slash, or I don't know what the Windows equivalent is. Let's say Mert equals new person. Okay. I hit enter. Now I type Arman. Arman is a person. I type Mert. Mert is a person. Now I told the browser or JavaScript engine that Mert is also now a person. Okay. Right now it doesn't have any properties. That's fine. Or any behavior. That's fine. We're going to add them. But the concept is I created Arman. I defined Arman as a new person and Mert as a new person. Okay. That's all I do up to this point, to let the browser know that they are people. These are real people. And they're going to share behavior. Okay, they're going to share behavior. They're not going to share properties because my name is different, my age is different, but I can greet people. Mert, age is different, has hair. He has hair, but he cannot greet people. He has hair, and he will be able to greet people as well. Okay. Were you able to follow me so far? Raise your hands if you got to this part in the code. Raise your hands if you got to this part in the code. Raise your hands if you got to this part in the code. Okay. Put your hands down.
It's command slash in my code.
Command slash, yeah.
Why doesn't it?
Well, it's this slash. If you look there, it's this slash. So,
7, right?
and then you have to put shift, I guess. Shift 7. Anyway. Raise your hands if you didn't follow me so far in the code, if you didn't type the code. Okay, there. Could somebody help Rachel to get to the point, to the same point? Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to be continuing. So we have a person class. It's currently empty. What I did is I created a new person, right? I want to be able to, now again, I'm going to the principle of how to write good software. I'm first writing how it should work like, and then I'm implementing the details. Then I'm making it work like the way I intended to, okay? So I should be able to define the name and the age of Arman and Mert, right? The way I do it is, like every function, I will be passing in arguments. When I'm creating a new person, I should be able to give them their name and their age, okay? Here, a new person, I should be able to give them their name and their age, okay? Right now, when I run this code, and I type Mert and Arman, it doesn't show the age and the name, right? Because we didn't do the implementation yet. What we just said, this is how I want it to work. So, let's type console.log Arman and Mert here, so that I don't have to type them down again. So when I run this, I see 2 people. They don't have any names. So there is a special function in each class that gets executed whenever you create a new instance. These are all keywords that you should get familiar with. So person is a class. I'm creating a new instance with this code here, new person. I'm creating a new instance of a person. And there is a special function that gets called whenever I create a new instance, and that is the constructor function that constructs a new object for me. The constructor function is used to construct new objects from class definitions, okay? It's a regular function, so I type it as a regular function, constructor function, and you can do whatever you want here. Obviously, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to be making sure I can get the name and the age to the class. So name and age is 2 parameters that the constructor function will have. All right? Now, let's do something. Let's just say console log here, just to make sure we can create these objects. hi, I am created. Let's run this, and you're going to see two messages. Hi, I am created. Hi, I am created, because I created two people, right? Let's change this. Hi, I'm created. My name is, comma, name. Let's save it. Let's run it. Here you say, hey, I'm created. My name is Arman. My name is Mert. You see, you can access those parameters from the constructor function. But if you do arman.name, you still get undefined. Why do you get undefined? Anybody? Please.
Because we haven't defined the property yet.
Because we haven't defined the property yet. Are you German?
Yes.
That's a great English. You sound like native. Yeah. I'm not a native speaker. I think none of the lecturers will be native speakers of English, so I hope you'll bear with us. I'm also saying this because it's totally fine. In the conferences as well, I'm just shamelessly plugging in public speaking here because that's an issue that all of us are facing. You don't need to have perfect English to speak. My English is far from perfect, but we all speak and it's all fine. Okay, so hi, I'm created. My name is Arman or Mert, but we cannot access it because we didn't define the property yet. What do I use to refer to myself in an object? This, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say this dot name equals name. That is how I record this incoming parameter as a property. The incoming parameter is the name, and I'm recording it as a property. Let's run this. And now, even here, you see person is now an object of person type as a name Arman. Mert is an object with name Mert, and he's a person. Finally, Mert is a real, actual person. Now you can say arman.name, and you can access my name, right? Are we good so far?
Yeah.
Cool. How do we record the age? This dot age equals age, right? Let's clear the console. I use Command K as a shortcut. I don't know what the equivalent is in Windows. It should be Control K. So I run this, and what I get is now very good. Like the representation here looks great. The computer knows that it's a person, and we have the properties name and age, right? Everything is great so far, right? Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my original code of this greet function. I will copy and paste it to the person class. Remove the remove the slashes, make it look better. This is what the person class is right now. I just copied and pasted the function. Copy paste is maybe the only thing that every single programmer does. See, my English is not perfect. Is it do or does? Native speakers? Does. Every single programmer does. Every single day, whenever they're writing code, half of the time it's copy paste. So I just copied and pasted what I wrote before. That's totally fine if you copy paste things. I copied and pasted the greet function, and now let's run this, right? And what I see here in the details of that person, there's something called greet as a function. Perfect. Now, can Arman actually greet Mert right now? Let's try. Arman.greet Mert, right? This was the original call. Save it. Let's clean the console. Let's run it. And great. I see, hello, Mert. My name is Arman. Let's remove this console log. Let's run it. We see, hello, Mert. My name is Arman. I just added a behavior to this class, right? It was very much like the object. I literally copied and pasted the code. And now every single person has this greet behavior, or do they? Let's go and try to say Mert.greet Arman. Will it work? Will it work? Class? Give me an opinion. Will it work?
Yes.
No, there's a no there. Sorry? I deleted the old code here, so we only have this code, person, class, and we declared Arman and Mert as new people, and I'm just trying out Arman.greet Mert, Mert.greet Arman. I run it, and you see now Mert is actually a real human being, and upload to Mert. You can greet me right now, okay? Hello Arman, my name is Mert. Works. So what do we see here? This is one of the pillars of programming, classes. We wrote the code only once, right? We defined the class once, here at the top. And then all the instances of that class were able to access the same behavior. They're all able to greet people. Do I make sense? I didn't have to copy and paste the greet function to Mert to make it work on Mert. I actually don't care how the greet function is implemented, right? Now, you're going to be working in large teams with multiple developers. So probably the person who created this person class, the developer who created this person class, maybe even left the company. Maybe this class was created like 5 years ago. But you as a new developer joining that company can use this person class and do whatever you want with it. You can have people greet each other, right? So in most cases, the developers of these two responsibilities will be different. A developer will be creating the person class, another developer will be using the person class. As a person who is using the person class, you don't have to know how any of these functions are created, are implemented. You don't have to know how exactly the greet function works. You just know that you need it and you use it. And that's the greatest thing about classes. It gives you reusability. You can reuse what you wrote. The new developer doesn't have to learn how to implement the greet function on their own. They can just use the previously created class. Do I make sense? Can you see like this is actually enabling a lot of productivity in the code that you share, the code that you develop, the features that you develop in your company? Does it make sense? I expect yes here.
Yes.
Thank you. At least some of the people are still listening. Scroll up. Sure. This is the person class. Okay. Raise your hands if you didn't follow me so far in code. We're going to take a couple of minutes. Keep your hands up until one of the TAs come to your desk and help you out. I want you to write all of these, like all of these is the person class and Arman and Mert up until this point. Please raise your hands and somebody will come and help you. There's somebody there. Okay. Anyone here? Let's get this all done. Obviously, if you were able to write this down, help the person next to you who couldn't. Because we need to share. Okay. Anybody who needs help? Raise your hands. Nobody needs help? Do you need help? Okay. One of the available TAs, please. Okay. Here as well. Anyone else who needs help? Please raise your hands. We have a couple of free TAs. Okay. I will be resuming. Please continue working with your teaching assistants on the issues a little bit more silently as I will be resuming programming. Everything I'm going to do from this point on will be a little bit easier if you get these concepts and these syntaxes right. So I hope we'll move a little bit faster at this point. As now I'm going to be introducing a new class, right? If you remember, okay, class, attention. Shh, 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 shh. Okay, silent, silent. Cool. Thank you. All right. Do I have your attention? Yes. Thank you. Now I'm going to be introducing a new class. And that is what? What class am I going to write now? What do I want to do? That's the exact question that I'm asking you right now. What am I trying to do? What was the goal of this lecture? What? A meetup. Yes, thank you. The only person who remembered what we were trying to achieve. We're trying to mimic meetup. We're trying to create people who can attend the meetups, right? So we have a person. Obviously, the next class that we're going to create is a meetup. That is what? What can a meetup do? What is it capable of? What? Networking, yes. Between who? People. Between people. What do we call them? What do we call these people?
Persons.
No, like who? Sorry?
Persons.
Persons, but you said something else. Okay. No. What do we call people who attend meetups?
Attendees.
Yes, thank you. Attendees. Yes, that's what it is. So meetups will have attendees, and there's going to be a networking activity between the attendees, right? Maybe if we have enough time, we can also add a function for that. So I'm just going to go and currently delete Arman greet and Mac greet Arman thing. I'm going to create a new class, and the way I do it, in order to avoid this error, is I start with the word meetup, okay? Call class, and that's the first thing that I'm going to do. And then I'm going to say WTMB equals what? Women Techmakers Berlin is what?
It's a meetup.
It's a meetup. How do I write? How do I create that meetup? New meetup, right? So let's run this piece of code. And what we see currently, WTMB is an empty meetup. It doesn't have anything. Obviously, it should have a name. And what I'm going to do is pretty much the same as the people thing, person thing. So constructor is the function. It should take a parameter, that's the name, and it will save the name. This.name equals name, right? This is the exact same thing we did for the person, because you can name a person and you can name a meetup. They share this functionality or this behavior or this property. So how do I pass the name? I just type Women Techmakers Berlin here, right? When I run it, you see meetup. WTMB is a new meetup that has the name Women Techmakers Berlin. Does it make sense so far? Yeah, great. Now, what do I want to have? What is the next step that I'm going to do? Tell me again. Attendees. Yes. I need a way to save attendees. What will those attendees do? They're going to sign up. And after they sign up, hopefully they're going to do what? Attend the meetup, right? 130 people signed up for this class. I think about 100 showed up, or 90 showed up. The rest didn't show up for some reason. So signing up is not an indication that you're going to attend that meetup. So, and we're interested in more like actual real people who attend the classes. So we're going to be talking about those attendees. Obviously, you could, in a much more detailed scenario, you could talk about signups and cancellations and everything. And in your actual projects, you might be working on those. But right now, we're going to talk about attendance. So what should happen? Arman should be able to what? Attend. Come on, don't be shy. Arman should be able to attend what? The meetup. Which meetup? WTMB, right? There are millions of meetups. Arman is a human being, has 24 hours in a day, cannot attend all the meetups, since we also didn't find out quantum teleportation yet, especially the meetups at the same time. They're a little bit challenging. So Arman needs to attend the WTMB meetup, right? This should work. Right now, when I run this, what you're going to get is Arman.attend is not a function, because Arman doesn't have that behavior. Then let's add that behavior to the person class, so that not only Arman, but any other people can attend the meetup, right? I'm going to go back to the person class, create a new function here that is called attend. Will it have any parameters?
Yes.
What will be the parameter?
Meetup.
The meetup. Perfect. This is where the modeling comes into play. In real life, in order to attend a meetup, you go to the place, right? That's a physical activity. But we are doing software. We're modeling real-life scenarios. We're modeling real-life objects and real-life behaviors. How do we model attendance? How would we model it? how do we add a person to it? What does adding a person to a meetup mean? Or the other way around. A person is attending the meetup. So a person has a memory of the meetups they attended, right? A real person. You know which meetups you attended. Hopefully you will remember next week that you have attended this meetup and will come back. We're going to be here waiting for you. But how do we actually remember things in classes in programming? How do I remember my name in this class, in the person class? How do I remember my age? I make a list. Is the name a list? I have a property, right? So let's start with a simple property. I have this.meetup equals meetup, right? I save it. Now let's run this code. And in the end, okay, we said arman.attend WTMB. When I type arman here, you automatically see the meetup is filled with the actual meetup that I wanted. Yay! So I now have an interaction between two different objects. Again, what I did is I added this attend function to the person class. This is in the person class. And what I do there is I just record the incoming parameter. I said this.meetup equals meetup. Okay? And when I say arman.attend WTMB right now, what I get as a result is I saved that in the object that I call arman. Arman is a person that has an age and name and a meetup, and he attended a meetup. Okay? Does it make sense? Cool. Now, obviously, Arman can attend multiple meetups. So, and can attend multiple Women Techmakers Berlin events. Otherwise, it would be too sad if I wouldn't be here next week. So we need a way to record this for, multiple times. I need to be able to attend multiple times. Before that, let's have Mert attend WTMB. Will it work? Should work. I run it. Arman has that meetup. Mert has that meetup. Perfect. Right? It just worked. So they both can attend the meetup. Does the meetup know who attended it? No. WTMB only has a name. So it doesn't have a memory of who attended. That's not ideal, because if you go to the details of a meetup page, you see who attended, right? At least who said they would attend. So we also need a way to record that. What I'm going to do is I will be changing the meetup and add myself when I'm attending it. I will be adding myself to the list of attendees in a meetup, or I will be adding myself as the attendee to a meetup. Let's for now go with the single attendee. I'm in the person class, all right? I'm in the person class. I'm gonna say meetup.attendee equals what? I want to record myself as the attendee to the meetup. What do I say? Meetup.attendee equals this. Perfect. Because this is pointing to myself, right? Could be that name. I just want to save myself completely, because maybe they want to access my age. Maybe they want me to greet somebody. It's a good idea to have me as a whole. Okay. Sorry?
When did you create attendee?
I didn't create attendee. I just said meetup.attendee equals this. Let's run it and see if it worked. Arman attended the meetup. WTMB has attendee Mert. Okay, what's happening? I attended that meetup, right? Mert also attended that meetup. Why does the meetup WTMB think that only Mert attended it? Tell me again. I got rewritten by Mert. That's That's right. Mert overrode me. That's sad, right? So let's fix this. Obviously, a meetup can have multiple attendees, right? A meetup should have multiple attendees. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to ask you a question. How many attendees does a meetup have when you first create it? 0, right? The attendee list is empty. And then as people attend it, you have more and more people in that. So when we create the meetup, it should already have a list of attendees, right? Attendees. And it should be a list. We call lists arrays in JavaScript and in most other programming languages. And we denote it with square brackets. So far we saw regular parentheses, curly brackets, and now we're using square brackets. I know it's a little bit difficult to type on the keyboard, especially on a German keyboard. It's like it's not built for programming. Or the other way around. Programming and these icons and these symbols are built for the English keyboard. That's why on whatever keyboard you are, switch to English to keyboard and your life will be much, much easier, because literally this is one single keystroke gives you the square brackets. If you press shift and that key, you get the curly brackets. It's much easier to type. Okay, this is an empty array. Okay, this attendees equals square brackets, open and close, gives you an empty array. No! Thank you. Wait, do you want darker? Really? Why didn't you tell us before?
We didn't know that.
Ah, okay. If you press it longer, it's gonna... Yeah, you can... I think this is better. Just a little light. You can do it. Can we do the same for the other rooms? Do you want light or not? The light is fine in that room. What about this room? You want dark? No, you want light. What is it with you people in this room that want dark? Okay. It's fine. You have your dark. Okay. Where were we? We were talking about an empty list, right? Now, let's go back to person. And now, meetup.attendee, let's see what happens when we run this. I'm cleaning the console. I'm running this code. And I'm typing WTMB. What you get is attendees is something else, and attendee is Mert. So this obviously isn't working as I expect it to work, because I want Mert to be in the list of attendees, right? Was I too fast? I want Mert in the list of attendees for a meetup, and not as the sole attendee. Do I make sense? Yeah. So let's do it. Here, in the attend function, in the attend method, unfortunately, functions, when they are within classes, are called methods. There are methods of those classes. This is just wording, just semantic difference. They're still functions. Meetup.attendees is now a list. How do I change this list? How do I add a new object to this list? Anybody who has prior experience with arrays? Great, thank you. Attendees is a list, is an array. It has its own functions that allows us to manipulate it. Push is one of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say meetup.attendees.push this, which will basically push me or add me to the list of the attendees in a meetup. I'm going to save it and run it. And when I hit WTMB, I see here now meetup has 2 attendees. Yay! Thank you for applause. Awkward, very, very awkward. Slow clap, yeah. So, did you notice we have 2 attendees right now? We didn't only have Mert, but we have Arman and Mert. So it automatically worked for everybody, right? This is perfect. We just changed one line, added a couple of more characters to it, and it now works for everybody. Isn't this awesome? I really like this. This is the best part about programming. Things work when they work. Obviously, I'm a professional. Don't try this at home. I'm lying. Try this at home. You're going to enjoy it. This is how I create the attendees list. All right? A meetup has attendees right now. Okay. I was going to say, does anybody wonder how we're going to get to deploying our backend application with databases and everything to the cloud and running them with Docker? From this point, we're going to do it. We did it twice in the past. And multiple people, there's another hand here. Multiple people, again, landed jobs because they were able to do this in 8 weeks with only 3 hours of lectures a week and a lot of homeworks and obviously a lot of support from us on Slack. So if you think, okay, I have a hard time understanding these concepts, how are we going to do all of those things? We will be able to do those. And we're all here for you. So don't worry. This is completely normal. If you are struggling with the concepts here, it's completely normal. We'll have more time to talk over Slack. You can ping me anytime. I'm available 24/7. If you don't believe it, you can try.
You don't have a life.
I don't have a life. I told you I don't have a life. Okay, I'm going to have a life next week. My girlfriend is coming over. Until that time, I don't have a time. I don't have a life. I'm literally awake 7/24. Whenever you're awake in the oldest hours, there's a hand there. Whenever you're awake in the oldest hours, I'll be there to answer your questions.
On Slack, right?
On Slack, yes. Also, another notice was like, I'm talking about backend and frontend all the time. Is there anybody who doesn't know what backend and frontend is, the difference between them? And it's totally fine. Or what full stack means. Okay, a couple of people here. Raise your hands. Please have your hands up. Raise your hands if you don't know what backend, frontend is. Okay, we have to talk. First, please let me know before. If I'm telling something that you don't know, you're not supposed to know anything in this class, okay? It's my responsibility to give you all the information that you need for this class. So if you come across something that doesn't make any sense, that doesn't ring a bell, just raise your hand, stop me, it's perfectly fine, and tell me so that I can help you out. Perfect. What is a class is the second question. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about backend and frontend. So what you see in a web page, when you go to a web page like this is a web page, right? This is the Google Meet. I can go to, I don't know, where should I go? unumotors.com. Of course, shameless plug. We built this web page. This was our latest project. This is what you see here is the front end. What you see in a browser when you visit a web page, the things that you can touch, the links and everything. And if you see it's working super fast, it's not only because our Wi-Fi is fast here, it's because of the underlying technology is the best in class. Not that we did it. The team was led by Anya over there. So they did a great job in making sure that, yay! In making sure that the users of UNU actually can have the best experience. It's totally responsive on multiple sizes, so you can actually scale it up and down. All of these things, they are the concerns of the front end, okay? See these two pictures? I close the, shrink the window, they change sizes, they change order, right? These are all front end. Everything you do to display information on a page, everything you do when you go to buy UNU, when you change the colors of the UNU here, when you click on different scooters, you can choose a different scooter here, a different color. And I'm going to show you my favorite. This is the one that I'm riding right now. I love it.
Are you the one who parks in the corner every morning?
Yes, I'm the one who parks on the corner every morning. I love it. It's a great vehicle. Just shameless plug. I don't work for UNU anymore. But all of these are front end. This is an application. This is a front-end application. You click different things and see the price updates, right? The colors update. The scooter colors change. This is a front-end application. Whenever you click go to checkout, that is when we save your basket. You want this scooter, this specific scooter, and that is saved on the backend, in the server, in a database. We store it in a database. You don't see it. As a user, you're still interacting with the web page, but we already saved your information. We still don't know who you are. Don't freak out. It's anonymous right now. We still don't know who you are, but we know that you are a person where we gave you a unique identifier, and we're tracking whoever you are, and we know that this identifier, this person, has this scooter in their basket. They want to have this scooter in the backend. Then you give your delivery address and all the details, and you can go to payments. There's a validation here. You have to fill all of these information, emails and stuff. And then I'm gonna end up buying a new scooter. Okay, let's enter the correct address. What? That's the building number. Telephone number is too long. Okay, now I went to the payment terms, and it remembers who I am. This information is saved where? In the backend. This is what it is. This is what the difference between backend and frontend. The backend is usually not visible to the end user, but it's visible to the system. So if you go to the admin panel, unfortunately I don't currently have access to the admin panel at UNU. If you go to the admin panel, you can see that my session is there, that they are tracking me as a customer who wants to have this scooter with this address. I didn't make a payment yet. If I make a payment, they see it as a real order. Okay? And then they process it. Backend is all about saving data, preparing all the business logic of delivering the scooter, letting know the factory, the delivery people, DHL, and everybody, notifying them to get ready to deliver my scooter. In fact, I ordered a scooter 4 months ago. I'm still waiting for it. I ordered a new one. But all of those things, the business parts, if you will, happen on the back end. Is it good enough? Does it give you kind of a general idea? Whenever you type a message in Facebook Messenger, Instagram, whatever, what you interact with is the front end. The back end is the part that takes that message, sends it to the other person, so that the other person can see it in their own front end. Do I make sense?
So basically,
Great.
backend is always, in this case, always when you want to send data to the database and when retrieve data from the database.
The backend is always when we want to send this to the database and retrieve it from the database. Yes. I mean, it doesn't have to be database, but you get the idea. If you want to do something meaningful with the data, not only on your own for yourself, but with another entity like a company or another person, you need a backend. Cool. What about the class? What is a class? A class is a blueprint. Do you know what blueprints are? Architects use it. They have a blue paper and they draw white on that.
White paper and the blue stuff.
Okay, they have white paper. Are you an architect? They have white paper. Then they have blue lines on that white paper to draw the buildings that they have. That's that they're gonna build. They first draw the plans and then make the building, create the building. That's what a blueprint is, the template of what you're gonna build. A class is a blueprint. A class is a definition of a type of object. If you look here, meetup is a type of object. We could define meetup as a regular object, as we did before as humans, as people, but it doesn't give us code sharing capabilities. If you remember, we had Mert and Arman had the greet method. Mert didn't have the greet method. We had to literally go into Mert and type it, but of course we didn't do it. Instead, what we did was we created a person class. We said, this is the blueprint of a person. Whoever is created through this blueprint should have a name, an age, a greeting functionality, and an attendance functionality. Do I make sense? Raise your hands if it's still not clear. And that's perfectly fine. Okay. Thank you. Now, there's one more thing that I'm going to do here. A person can attend multiple meetups, right? That's what I'm going to fix. Right now, a person can only attend one single meetup. I'm going to go back to the person class, to the attend method, and I'm going to change meetup to meetups. So it should be meetups.push, because it's going to be a list, right? And then I'm going to push the current meetup to that list of meetups. Does it make sense? No.
So, for adding another type of meetup, right?
It's for adding another type of meetup or the same meetup, because you can attend the same meetup twice. I have attended over, 50 Women Techmakers Berlin meetups. So I should be able to attend it multiple times. That's why it should be a list. This meetups.push meetup will somehow make it work. However, if you go to the constructor, you're going to see that we didn't define meetups as a list, right? We have to do that first. How am I going to do that? I'm going to say this meetups equals what? What? Empty list. Yes, because it's going to be empty. When you create a person, by birth, they haven't attended any meetups yet, right? Maybe they attended the meetup of their own birth. Modern families creating the first bath and everything, like meetups, parties for those. Okay, I'm adding a new list to the person class. This.meetups equals an empty array. And then this.meetups push meetup. Let's see how it works. I'm going to clear the console. I'm going to run this code. Let's see WTMB. It has 3 attendees. Arman, Mert, and Miri. That's perfect. Let's click further. Person 1 is Arman. It has meetups. Perfect. That's an array. So we can see that Arman was able to attend that meetup and has that list of the meetup. I can click further and further and further. This is going on infinitely. I can also show it in code. WTMB.attendees will give me the list of attendees, right? WTMB.attendees square brackets 0 will give me the first person who attended that meetup. And that's Arman. Unfortunately, in programming, we start counting from 0. So the first person is index 0. And then that person has meetups, right? They attended one meetup. It's this meetup. That meetup has attendees. Let's get the second person this time. Wait, the first meetup that person attended and the second attendee of that meetup is Mert. And you can see the meetups Mert attended, right? Now, this is exactly mimicking the behavior on the front end. What you can do on Meetup is you can go to Women Techmakers Berlin. You can go to this page, right? You can go to the attendees. You can see the attendees, right? You can click, I don't know, Alicia, for example. And obviously, wait, I go to view full profile. And I can see that she is a member of 5 other meetups. So this is, and you can click Berlin Expats. You can see its members, right? You can see the meetups that they attended. You can see those meetups members. So it's basically mimicking the same thing on the front end. Do I make sense? Whatever you can do on the front end, you can actually do on the back end. With this, basically. WTMB attendees 0, meetups 0, attendees 1, meetups 0, attendees 0 will give me Arman. So click, 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 click through, and you end up with the same person. Okay. Let's have Arman attend WTMB again. Arman attend WTMB. And then let's write WTMB. Let's write Arman here. Let's see if it's gonna work. Yeah, it worked. So now you see Arman has 2 meetups. Arman attended multiple meetups. It's the same meetup, sure, but he attended multiple meetups. There's a little bit of an issue here. If you notice, the attendees is an array of 4. If you go, it's Arman, Mert, Miri, and Arman. Depending on how you want to treat this information, it might be right or wrong, because Arman attended twice. But you might also want to have unique people who attended Women Techmakers Berlin, right? Unique members. This is more and more business logic. You can, of course, write more code to ensure this functionality. Right now, we're only interested in our ability to be able to attend a meetup, okay? Cool. Do I make sense so far? Do I?
It does make sense.
It does make sense, but?
But it's so fast, it doesn't settle in, and then you just jump to the next.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when you finish it, already completed.
Yeah. Sorry, this was the code to attend. Yeah, here. Yeah, it might feel a little bit fast, and it's normal if it doesn't sync in right now. That's why we have the recordings, so you'll be able to go over them, listen to me again, and pause it, think about it, write down the code, and think about it again. And at all times, we're available over Slack, and we can discuss this further. So don't worry, it's perfectly fine. It's okay. You're not expected especially if you're new to programming, you're not expected to pick this up. The only thing that we need right now is that it makes sense. Then we're going to have the entire week to settle them in. Obviously, it will require your personal time, but in the end, nothing kind of is for free. You have to give your time to make an impact. So that's the deal we have. We teach you, you invest your personal time, do the homeworks, and we end up with something of a good experience for you. Okay. I have only one more thing to talk about today in terms of programming, right? Imagine a scenario that is not currently implemented in Meetup that is killing everybody. I want to print, not really killing everybody, it's just a hassle for the organizers, just to be clear. I want a function to print the names of the attendees, okay? Maybe their age as well, so that I will print them out as stickers so that people can stick them on, and we have a nice network effect in our meetup, right? This is gonna enable people faster networking, greeting people. So our classes don't allow it right now. What we need is a function in the meetup. I want meetup to be able to print the names of the attendees. So what should happen is, let's delete this last Arman, not to confuse anybody. WTMB should be able to print the names of its attendees, right? I will say WTMB.print attendee names. I expect this to be a function. Again, the first thing I'm doing is I'm imagining how my code should look like, okay? And then I'm gonna implement it. We're gonna be coming back to this topic more and more, especially on the 6th week when we're talking about testing and test-driven development. This is pretty much what we're gonna do there. We first are going to imagine what we're gonna write, how it should look like, how it should feel like. Because, okay, here's more chat because we have time. Programming languages are for people. Programming languages are not for the machines. Machines are best at understanding ones and zeros and ones. That's the only thing they understand. Machines work with electricity. Electricity can only work with ones and zeros. Is it on or off? It is the fastest. If you want this to run at, I don't know, your CPUs are 4 gigahertz, 3 gigahertz, 2.6 gigahertz, whatever. If you want this code to run at that speed, you have to give it ones and zeros. Anything else It doesn't understand. But it's impossible for humans to manually write those ones and zeros. They were doing it in the 40s, bless you. They were doing it in the 40s, 1940s. The computers were programmed by ones and zeros, by punch cards. They were punching holes in the cards. Holes were ones, flat paper were zeros, or the other way around, I don't know, I wasn't there. But how they were programming it. Then they said, this is not okay. Only genius people can understand what these ones and zeros are. We need to simplify it. Then they invented programming languages. They said, okay, we're going to have a couple of symbols that we're going to write special programs for that will convert those symbols into ones and zeros. That became the first programming language. It is sometimes called assembly. Every CPU has an assembler and assembly language that is very cryptic still. It's very short letters, very, very cryptic and very hard to write code in. And then they said, when time went on, this is not enough. We need to simplify it further. We need to abstract it further. Then they developed further programming languages. In the end, they came up with something like JavaScript that is super easy to write, very, very simple to write. This is like thousands and thousands and thousands lines of ones and zeros when you compile it. If you heard this term compilation, that's what machines do. They take this human-readable format, human-readable code, and convert it to ones and zeros. So this runs super slow. The same thing could be achieved if you were up to writing ones and zeros. The same thing could be achieved really in a, I don't know, maybe 1/10, 1/1000th of the time, fraction of a second. But since humans cannot write it, we are able to write this, and we ask the machines to convert this to machine-readable code, ones and zeros. That's why it runs very slow. So programming is only for humans. Again, it's not for computers, okay? You have to understand this. Programming is for humans. That's why all the names of the classes, types, methods, properties, they should be humanly readable, understandable. When you look at a piece of code, you should understand what it does automatically. That's why I'm using real verbs here. Arman attends WTMB is broken English, but it still works. You can understand what I'm trying to do. Arman is attending a meetup. The same thing here. WTMB print attendee names. You immediately understand what it does, right? It should print the names of the people. You have to get two things right. It's the relationships and the definition of your objects, their behavior, their relationship, and naming. Naming things is very, very hard. It's one of the two hardest things in computer science. Right now, I want to go with this print attendee names. This should be a function, and it should give me a nice formatted list of names, okay? And by that I mean it should log to the console log something. Now let's go to the meetup class and implement this. I'm going to be adding a new method here, print attendee names, okay? It doesn't take any parameters. I didn't give any parameters because it knows the attendees already. It knows the names of the attendees, okay? I'm opening my curly brackets. If you can follow me, that's best. If not, don't worry about it. You're going to get the code and the video recording, hopefully. So we should do console log something, right? Let's say print attendee names. Just log the method name. When you run this, you're going to see print attendee names, so it's working. We were able to do it. We said wtmb.print attendee names, and the function here is print attendee names, and it's working. So let's log the attendees first. This dot attendees, right? Let's run this. You have the 3 people. Now, how do you print the names of all these people? Let's print the name of the first person. How do we do it? How do I do it? Raise a hand and tell me, please. This attendee is 0. Then I want to print the name of that person. That name. Yeah. If I do this, in the end, I'm going to get the name of the first person. Now I can do this. I can copy and paste. I told you, programmers like to copy and paste, right? I can say print the names of these first 3 people. And when I run this, I get Arman, Mert, and Miri. Kind of works, right? But it's not nice. Why isn't it nice?
Because you don't know how many attendees at the end.
Exactly, because I don't know how many attendees do we have. We might have more attendees, we might have less attendees, right? In fact, let's showcase that. Let's remove Miri from the list, run this code, and we see it printed Arman and Mert, and it said cannot read property name of undefined. Do you remember the error that I told you? You're going to see this all times. Cannot read property name of undefined because the third person here, see, it already shows me. The third person is undefined. That person didn't attend it yet because I removed Miri. Let's put Miri back in. She likes to attend WTMB events. This is not nice. We need another way to make this work. We shouldn't have to know the number of people in our attendee list, right? How I'm going to do this is by using another function that is on the attendees list. So, do you remember the first function that I talked about in the lists? Push. Push was the first function that I talked about, right? That lets you to add a new item to a list. There are obviously more functions like that. And the one that I'm going to use is, anybody who is familiar with JavaScript could guess? Not you. You're too familiar with JavaScript. Anyone else? Nobody? Please. Oh yes, that's perfect. Thank you. Yeah, the function that I'm going to use is called for each. That's a function. So anybody, and by anybody I mean all except this person over here, please tell me what for each would do. You don't have to know, you just need to guess.
For each attendee, do something.
Perfect. We have a great answer here. For each attendee, do something. See, it's very literal. It's humanly approachable, very understandable. This attendee for each, do something. What are we going to do? We're going to print their names, right? So I want to create a reusable function that prints people's names. Let's stop here for a second. Let's create a new function that will print the name of a one person. Like, let me call it print name. Okay. What will it do? This is a function. What should it do? Print name. What should be the parameter? Tell me again. We need the person name as an input. How do we get the person name?
We need the name of the number of the array that keeps the name.
Okay. Perfect. We need the number of the array that keeps the name. Let's really simplify it. I want to say print name is a function that can work on any person and prints the name of that person. Okay? Very simple. It takes in person, converts it. Now the fat arrow should make a little bit more sense. It takes person, converts it to that person's name. Person.name. Okay? Well, since we said it's print name, let's also put console log here, because print action is actually doing the logging. So we take a person, we log the person's name. This is a function, all right? See, here's the magic. The thing that I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna type print name here. And I'm done. This is like magic. Does it feel like magic? If you don't believe me, let's run it.
Looks like it's richer than magic.
This attendees for each. Let's run it, and it works. I say print attendee names, and it works. How does it work? This is the beauty of JavaScript. Let's read it. Let's read what we wrote. This attendees for each print name. If you were talking to a person and that person told you this, would you understand what that person said? What they wanted? Attendees for each print name. Does it give you an idea? You know, what would happen if you hear this? If anybody tells you attendees for each print name, what would you do? You go and print their names, right?
Yeah.
So this reads very naturally. This is how we should be doing programming. Programming should be very natural to everybody. If it's not as simple as this, then you can further simplify it.
You can get the number of your arrays.
Yeah, because I don't need it. The for each method, what it does is, the for each function, what it does is, it passes every single person to the function, through the function. So it first passes Arman in, then passes Mert in, then passes Mihri in, and then ends. For each knows how many items are in the array. I don't have to know. That is the abstraction. Remember, I told about abstraction is very important in programming. That is hidden from me. I don't have to know how for each is implemented. I just know that there is a function called for each that I can call that will do whatever I tell it to do, and that is printing names. I just prepared my function print name to print the name of one person. Then I can reuse it. If I want, let's delete this line. When I run it, you won't see any names. I can say here in the console, print name Arman, and it will give me the name of Arman. So you can use it anywhere. This is a reusable function. What I did is to reuse it in printing attendee names. See, it was a multi-purpose tool. I just reused it to print the attendee names. And when I run it, you get all the names. If I want to change it to include person.age, this is very important. I change it in only one place. And for all the rest of the uses of this function, you're going to now have the names and the ages. This is key to reusability. Change something only in one place. That's why copy and paste multiple lines is bad, because you have to change them, all of them. Like if I had this console log attendees 0 name, console log attendees 1 name, I would have to add that age to all of them. What I did was I just changed the function.
So for recap, the blue person here is the array, and then in from
The blue person here is a single person.
is it okay?
And then I take the name of that person and age of that person and print it. What for each does is to call this function 3 times, or how many items are in the array. So for each item in the array, that's literally the name of the function. For each item in the array, I'm running this function. Does that make sense? Perfect. This will settle in when you do more exercises. And this is perfect timing. I am out of content for this class. It's 9:58. So 2 minutes before 10, I officially close the lecture. However, I'm going to talk about projects and homeworks. So I'm going to keep you a couple of more minutes here. I hope everything was okay. Was it okay? Did you like it?
Yes.
Are you still interested?
Yes.
Are you going to be here next week? Please. Okay. So, homeworks. The homework for this week is to think about your projects, what you want to showcase at the end. If you don't have ideas, we can help you. You can, if you have a dream project that you have always wanted to do, you can start doing it within this course, and we're going to help you out. Think of a project. If you can't come to us, we're going to give you a project. Or if you want, you can also do a meetup clone. You can pretty much do this for Instagram, for Facebook, any real-life activity, for hospital, patient tracking.
So basically making any database plan.
Yeah, anything. Come up with something that you really would like to work on intensively for the next 8 weeks, because you will be. You can change your project in the meantime, of course. Find that project. Create at least 2 classes for that project, like we did with Meetup and Person. Create at least 2 classes and create 3 interactions between them. So I did an interaction here that is attend. You need 2 more. Okay? For example, for Meetup, it could be sign up. or comment. A meetup does have comments, right? You are able to comment on the meetup page. So those are two more interactions. So you can model an ambulance. So recap, 2 classes, at least 2 classes. Please do more. The more you do, the better it will be. At least 2 classes and 3 interactions between them, okay? I want that as a source file on GitHub. If you don't know how to do that, that's fine. We have the Slack for that. We have a welcoming guide, which we will update it for this homework as well. We're going to send the homework in written form to Slack, not to Meetup. So make sure you're on Slack to track all the communication. But that's what it is, all right? 2 classes, 3 interactions. You can write it in Chrome like this, and then send us the file or send the file to GitHub. You can write it in a JavaScript file in your Visual Studio Code editor if you want. You can figure that out on your own. That's also fine. I don't mind. All I need is a code piece like this with 2 classes, at least 2 classes, at least 3 interactions, and show those interactions like Arman attend WTMB, Arman comment on WTMB, and talk about what the comment is, okay? And that is the homework.
How can I save this and send it as a file to you?
On GitHub, if you create a new code repository, you can immediately create a new file in it and just paste the contents there. That is the easiest way to do it. And you can find tutorials on how to do it in more advanced ways. This exact thing is, yeah, if you just hit Command S or Control S, it's going to save it in your browser. You can access it anytime. This is my work computer. This is the first snippet that I have. On my personal computer, I have like about 20 different snippets that I saved over the years. So it doesn't lose it. Chrome doesn't lose it. I'm going to send over my code to a GitHub repository and share the link on our Slack as well. Please. You don't need to continue this meetup project. You can create any project that you want. Yeah, of course. That is the whole point of it.
I guess for the next time, it's better not to ask us to write whatever you're trying to write here, because every time I try to put this one and just searching for in my keyboard, just
okay.
Cannot get it.
The feedback is next time don't ask us to write whatever you're writing, because obviously you're writing at stupid speeds and it's hard to follow with all the curly brackets and everything. And if you don't want to write, that's totally fine. Again, we're going to share everything afterwards anyway. Yeah. I would still recommend to try to do it, but if you have any difficulty, obviously just stop and just follow. But again, you're going to be hearing our voices through video recordings anyway. So you're going to have multiple opportunities to catch up.
So you don't want, this shouldn't be like actual code. You want pseudocode or just a description?
No, I want an actual code that I can paste in Chrome and run.
Okay.
There is also a couple of setups that you have to do for next week. We sent out a welcome email. We're going to write it on the Slack channel again. There's a nice documentation that you can follow to go through to install Node.js, to install MongoDB and Docker, as they are the tools that we're going to be using. Next week, we're going to start with Node.js. So make sure you have Node.js installed on your machines. As we're diving into the backend side of things, Node.js is an environment to run JavaScript on the backend. And your laptops are computers, so they can run backend code. Of course, there are servers. We're going to be writing and serving web applications starting from week 4. We're going to have our own APIs. So things will accelerate really fast. Make sure you spend the time on your personal time to go through all of the content here. Again, let us know if you have any questions. We'll be on Slack, and we'll help you out with your code. Don't shy down. If nothing works, if you can't get it to work, just write to us, and we're going to fix it for you. We're going to fix it with you. So you're going to have everything you need in order to be successful. It's only on you. And remember, I have an intern position for 2020, beginning January. So we're going to end this class in 10th of December. We're going to have, obviously, interviews and stuff. Hopefully, starting from January in the next year, we can have an intern out of this class. UNU will also host an intern from this class. And obviously the goal is it's paid internship, by the way, of course. Of course it's paid internship. And the goal is after 6 months of internship, it's going to take 6 months full-time. After 6 months, hopefully you'll be able to join the teams full-time. So we're going to ramp you up. We're going to train you further and further. And we have like real-life examples. Where is Maria and Celia? Out there on the back. You can also talk to them. Maria wrote a great blog post on Women Techmakers Berlin blog of her journey up to the internship. Maybe she needs to update it because she has been working at UNU for over a year now. Almost 2 years, yeah. I was just, excluding the internship, there is real production code that she did. She saved us multiple times. So, you're going to be there. You'll all make it. You just need to spend some time and be persistent, and we're going to help you out. Thank you for listening to me today, and I hope to see you next week here at this time. Thanks.